Okay, let's start. Welcome to Cast and Crank. I'm your host, No Beer Nick, and today I have Chris Purcell on and the GOAT, Butch.
No beer Butch.
No beer Chris.
No beer anyone today. This is the hard. I'm on day 12. No beer. I'm hoping to be raging by the toy drive.
You're looking much better too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about an amazing thing that SU's doing and Butch. They built a boat. A lot of you guys have seen it. So I guess Chris kind of talk about what you guys, the idea you had and how it all started.
Yeah. So it all started when we did when we started doing the boat videos with Kevin and Butch, and we just happened to stumble across a 1966 Alumacraft on eBay that was in Kentucky, and that's the same year and model as Butch's boat. And one of the guys at SU was like, hey, we should buy and build this boat. And I said, sure. So I bought it on eBay right away and then tried to figure out trucking. And in the meantime, we called Butch and I said, hey, Butch, we're going to buy this boat. We're going to build it. And he said, no, you're not. And there was like this long pause. And I'm like, great. Well, we're already like committed to this thing. And he goes, I'll build it. You have them drop it off at my house. I'll put in my time and I'll build it. And we figured out that we'd do the donation, the entire boat to Tilt, and all proceeds are going to them. So really it just kind of came from that.
Did you guys have the idea ready to kind of like want to do something like that, to do a donation type deal?
It didn't start that way. It just started as finding something super cool and wanting to build it. And then it went, and we started to figure out like the scope of this project and how cool it was. And then it was like, all right, let's donate it to charity. And then having heard about the guys at Tilt through your podcast, it was a perfect fit.
And then when you got the boat, Butch, so you guys had it trailered over here.
That you can't skip the trailering part. This is
the trailering part is the best part, and the video I love is when you first get it, you go, look at this piece of shit.
Well, it broke down a few times on the way too. Like it was supposed to be here 2 weeks earlier, but the guy that was towing it had an issue. When he picked it up, it didn't fit his ball. The hitch was like it was a huge ordeal.
Wait,
just
he dragged that thing not on a flatbed, like
he towed it.
Oh my God!
Towed it all the way out.
The bearings were shot in my driveway. The boat was leaning like this, and I was moving the wheel.
Barely made it, huh?
Like 5 inches on one side and the other, and I'm looking at it going, this was made out of an old barbecue grill, you know?
And wasn't the winch just a dog leash?
It was a dog leash, had it strapped down in the front, and then they had a dog leash in the center where it supports the boat, wrapped around that, but that was hanging off to the side, and it looked like it had been drugged for about 150 miles. And I called him up, and I go, man, where'd you get this thing? The boat's beautiful. It had a motor on it. I go, but the trailer's a piece of shit. And I go, I'm going to cut this thing up for the next 2 weeks and put it in my trash, little sections at a time with my grinder. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did, man. I cut that thing up, and it took 3 weeks to dispose of it in the recycling bin. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to go to Craigslist, punched up trailer, and here 5 miles from my house is a guy with a trailer, and he's got it up there for like $500-600, and I go down, and it's for a 10-foot boat. Or a 12-foot boat, not a 14, but he's got a whaler in the back on a trailer, and he goes, well, you can have that one right there, but it needs some work done on it. And I looked at it, and I went, I'll take that one. I'll take it.
What did they do with the whaler?
He just lifted it up. He's got boats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how big is that whaler?
It's for sale. I think it's still for sale.
Really?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a trailer now.
Nope, you don't get a trailer.
It must not be that big, though. It's probably 14. Huh?
I think it's a 14. Yeah. Because the trailer is the same size as mine.
So when you found that trailer, did it need some work as well, though?
Needed a lot of work. I took everything off of it. I took absolutely everything, cut it all off because it had been sitting for probably 10 years, and he told me. So I cut every bolt, everything off of that, tongue. I sandblasted it, and then replaced all the bearings, bushings, races, lug nuts, tires, repainted it with the rhino lining paint.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Did diamond plate on the whole top, ran the wires inside, which wasn't that easy, to get my running lights, bought all good LED running lights. They're beautiful, and then, bought the new tongue for it, heavy duty, third wheel. It's dialed in. But that was the first part of the project. New bunks, rollers, all neoprene, galvanized everything, if not stainless steel. And at that time the market for metal was just going through the roof.
Yeah.
So, when I'd go down and buy me a 4x4 sheet of diamond plate, it's a couple $100, $300.
Yeah.
I walked out of there with nothing in my hand for $1,000, thinking I'm gonna have to come back.
I remember when it first started, we gave you, what was it, like 2,000 cash. And we're like, here, use this for the supplies. And he called me after the first trailer stop. He's like, it's almost all gone.
It's out of here.
You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing is I don't think people understand is like, you see the Tiny Boat Nation guy and he's selling boats for 20 grand, whatever it is, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And no one blinks an eye, but it's like you're raffling off something that you're putting a lot of money into these boats. Like, and I know firsthand what I put into my little aluminum boat. I probably put 10 grand and it was nothing.
It was nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing.
And it's so easy to put that money in to customize something the way you want it. Mm-hmm. So like the little nuts and the bolts and stainless and galvanizing shit, that's a lot of time to put into that boat.
Pumps, live well cutting. You do the deck and the way that I do the deck because, I built my boat and, I don't build boats to sell, but it's all done with marine plywood. But on top of that plywood, I have a thin sheet of aluminum. So when it rains, it doesn't rot that underneath, the trial and error. And then the whole bottom of it is coated with like Flex Seal rolled on. So it's all rubberized.
The bottom of the plywood?
Of all the wood too.
Okay.
So nothing is exposed. And the whole deck is done that way.
How long does that last you?
Well, mine's still going.
How long have you, when did you put it in?
The boat I have now, my old one?
Yeah.
No, at least 10 years or longer.
So it lasts you that long?
I'm not going to have a
Wow.
problem with it. And
you'll fish in the rain as well?
All the time.
Okay.
But before, when I do my decks, I would use fiberglass and all that kind of stuff. And it weighs, it adds more weight to it. But once I go through 2 or 3 seasons, it starts to rot out and get flimsy and junky, and the carpet starts to lift off of it. And it was like every 3 year I had to redo my boat, and now that I've done it this way, I don't have to do that. And this boat didn't leak at all. It was beautiful.
Oh, nice.
But I coated the whole inside of the hull I rubberized that on top of everything else.
That cut down on sound as well. Will it cut down on that? Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Yeah, but you got to think about just bilge pumps, and then I have auxiliary spare quick change pump that if something happens with your live well or your pump, well, you can just disconnect that real quick and plug another one in 30 seconds. And I've had to learn that from fishing for big bass, because you get out there and you catch a big one and you turn the live well on and it's not working right. Well, you got to futz for a while. Meanwhile, you got this big bass here. Well, you don't have time for that kind of stuff. So I started making them with a spare that's in a plastic container. And then as soon as a pump takes a dump, then I just take that apart, twist the other one back in, and I'm off and running, because the boat that I have now has toggle switches. And sometimes when you pull the trolling motor up, it pulls the toggle switch out. So meanwhile, that bilge has been running for about a week and it's done, and this boat that I built is all the problems solved from my other boat, the way that it's laid out. It's laid out to be fishy and comfortable fishy for what it is. Then and then like with the switch plates, they're lever switches this time, and it has it's 2022, so it has the USB port, it has a cigarette lighter, they all light up,
Voltmeter,
everything. Yeah,
it's got everything.
It has everything on it.
VU meter.
Sorry, I'm not an
VU
electrician.
meter.
Oh yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's dialed in, and I took a lot of time.
What can you explain the quick
days
release? The quick release, the live well pump.
Well, they're
Is it like do you have the? So I've seen a couple different ones where they have the red and black connectors. Where I was gonna do it on my boat where you pull it out and it kind of just pulls the whole thing out, and they're really nice, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Or is it,
Well, it's just a regular pump. It's either Johnson, Mayfair, I think, are the ones that make them, and they just twist the top.
Okay.
Like Rule, I think,
yeah,
has that, but they have a clamp, so it takes a little longer. And then you just take the 2 wires, and you get a male and a female. And
connector
and the same on the other, and and then you just plug them in.
That's a good idea.
And you're done. That's it.
I
Quick
have
and easy.
I had my boat, the fucking bilge pump went out. So I went and bought just one to throw in my boat with a big tube. So I could just hook it up to the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Gator from Performance, he's like, I guess it's up to the walleye guys do because they'll get so much water when
From
they're
the
fishing.
waves?
Yeah. So they'll just throw bilge right off the side, get the water out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's something you got to think of, especially with the big bass.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to die. Like, that's your whole deal. And
Well, it's a big surprise when you sit there and you turn it on and it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
You're waiting for it to hear it splashing around, and meanwhile you got the goods in your hand and you want to, take a picture and get all set up on it. Meanwhile, you're holding this thing in the water and trying to kick it and find something on the deck to fill it up a little bit or whatever. I've just played that game a couple of times and just tried, like, where rods lay down. I have them where they lay in just in a certain place on the boat, and you're dealing with a 14-foot aluminum boat, and it's just a specific brand, so you have to customize everything that goes in and think about weight and distribution of how everything is supposed to lay out, how your hatches can be, so you can get into these compartments, and just trying to figure out all these things. And so it's a little bit of a challenge, putting in a live well and getting it balanced out where you want it.
the weight especially, too.
Yeah,
right?
and you got to cut out the center seat and get rid of that, and then you got to build supports and all that stuff. But this one is cherry. It's nice.
What do you use? How did you connect your framing? Did you use aluminum, angle iron?
I use the aluminum clad half-inch grade marine grade plywood, and then it's all been rubberized on the backside.
But the frame is same. What did you use for the frame?
It's wedged in, but it's sandwiched in between, and then there's on each side where the boat comes down. There's supports there.
Okay.
And that's all I need.
Oh, wow.
That's all I needed.
Simple, very simple.
Very simple. But the top of the live well had to be thrown away. The only thing I needed was the bucket. And then I made that out of aluminum, and that's all rubberized on the bottom. And then I found that back in the day when I used to lift my live well up, and it's happened with guys I've brought out, and it's happened with me, that as soon as you crack the live well, because it's 4 feet across, well, here goes a 14, 15-pound bass right out the side. I even fished a tournament once, opened it up and lost 2 fish in my limit, and just said, threw my hands in the air and opened it up and swished around. They all flew out, and I just drove home with nothing, just to play. But then I put one of those kayak hatches
Circle?
on the top of that. It's an oval.
Okay.
And it's big enough to get your fish in there and not have to, worry about them taking off. That way you can, work with it.
And you could fit a big fish in that live well, right?
I could fit a very big. That boat is made for a trophy bass fisherman in the right place. It's obviously not a boat that you can use in rough water or anything like that. But as far as being comfortable and running down a shore and getting up tight and getting stealth. I have, there's a Ranger in the garage. There's a Champion on the side yard. There's a boat hanging up in the rafters. But if I had to fish any boat on any lake, it would be the one I have, my black boat.
It's a confidence boat.
It's a confidence
boat. It's like a bait, but boat.
It floats nice. It doesn't float stern or bow first. It floats perfectly sideways, nice and slow. And so does this new boat. It took a little time to get it dialed in. But if I'm going to, like when I launched at the Delta, I wanted to start right there at Frank's Track and then hit those docks. And then I want to get behind those docks. Well, with a 20-foot Ranger, you just can't go in beside those docks and go underneath the running boards and keep throwing back in there where no one goes. But my boat, I can do that. I can get it right in there. I can go right underneath this guy's ramp, out that side, back in over this side. And, you know, the fish aren't spooked from that kind of a boat. You're not sitting 10 feet in the air looking down at the water at your swim bait. You're, you know, 6 feet, 5 feet above water level. And, you know, they don't shy off that quick.
So you think that's even a little bit of an advantage having
I think
that little
it is.
boat, you know?
I think it is. You know,
Chris, you think the same thing?
Yeah, I definitely do. Being stealth and kind of touching on what he was talking about earlier. When you get in the boat, everything has a place. When you're in a 14-footer, space is crucial. So everything from the net to the marker buoys, everything has a perfect place, and it's been tried and true through Butch. It's the right spot for it.
Look at a lot of the videos that you see swim baiters in the bass boats that I've seen over the years, and maybe I pay attention to it, maybe other people don't. Most of those fish that you see caught are caught on pretty fairly long casts or away from the boat. And then you look at the guy that hooks one on a kayak, or look at the guy over here, and his fish are right here by the boat. So just think of how many fish that may have hit in that last 10 feet.
You think because of the shadow too? So you got a 21-footer compared to 14. That shadow is going to be, you know, say you go down 30, 40 feet, say that shadow's 30 feet for 14 and then for 21, you're looking at 50 feet of shadow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But, you know, when you're fishing glide baits and stuff, you're up near the surface with that kind of stuff. So, you know, when it comes to that, you know, and I'm worried about that other, I just have my sonars and I just be as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have the double anchor on the boat as well?
No. I used to, because I had to compete with the crawdad guys out there. And, you know, what they would do is they'd pull their trick. They'd put 300 feet of rope out here, then drop that anchor, then pull it over. So now they got 150 feet, and they would work the whole edge, and I wouldn't be able to go in and throw a swim bait because it'd be just this big mess, like a scribble of anchor ropes. And then after a while, I was thinking, you know, fuck these guys. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my anchors up like they do so that they can't catch my anchors without me getting pissed off. And I'm going to play that game. And
which is a great idea. Who came up with the double anchor? Like, who was
probably the Danny Cadota.
Did he?
You know, I think Danny Cadota is a big part of that.
Yeah.
You know, because he was really good at it. And Taka, you know, that's what they did. You know, that way they could move back and forth on the edges and stuff. You know, but this boat comes with 100 feet of, you know, thin black anchor rope, no chain, and then it has a river anchor, because the river anchor, I find that when I get on a flat or in an area, you know, I can put that out the back. My boat will get dialed in just like a wind, you know, pointer. And if you don't let a lot of scope out, just enough to make it stick according to whatever wind you have, all you got to do is hit the trolling motor and move up another 50 feet or so, and then you just stop and, you know, keep throwing down your ridges and stuff.
That's a great idea.
And I use a black anchor because I think it's more stealthy than just about anything. You know, you don't want that yellow and all that other color, you know, because, you know, I don't know. I think fish think that's out of place. And then no chain, because when you're bobbing back and forth, that chain is making noises, you know, and I'm not about that. I want to be as quiet as possible, but, you know, that is included in the boat.
And you've got that, I don't know what it's called, but the spot where you hook the anchor in onto the deck.
Yeah, they have those quick cleats, you know.
It's not a cleat. It's
sorry.
Front and back. You know, there's everything on that boat. I mean, it even comes with a Saltaire scale inside of it. It has a smudge kit included in it.
Explain the smudge kit.
So if you're a shithead and you've done a lot of bad stuff in your life, or if you're hanging around people that are bad news, you know, it doesn't hurt, okay? It's no different than saying, thank God, man, I'm glad I made it through that accident. It's like, what do you got to lose? You know, it comes with, I got the kit that comes with instructions. It comes with the pedestal. It comes with the abalone shell, and it comes with the feather, and it comes with the salt or whatever it is that you do with it. and it tells you exactly what to do. It wards off evil spirits and bad juju that you may have caused, or who maybe you were driving and you killed your best friend. Who knows? And bad things are happening to you. You just light that thing up, and I just put it right in the middle on top of the live well and waft it around a little bit, smoke out the garage, wait for my wife to tell me there's a fire somewhere, and then and then off we go.
Have you caught big fish after you've done this?
And fumi too, and taka, and we do it on our tuna. I learned it from the Japanese guys on the tuna boats, because we used to line up before an 18-day boat, and we had one guy on there that was Hawaiian. He didn't want to get on the boat if somebody had bad juju, so we'd all line up, and then he'd light this thing up, and then he'd go past everybody and smudge us out, and we'd have great trips. But what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
Sometimes little things can make you have a little more confidence or something.
Well, it's like a confidence bait. Like I know I have good luck when I drink a 32 of High Life.
That's right.
Right, Chris? Same thing with
definitely,
you.
yeah.
But sometimes you can't, and that's how it is.
It is what it is, but, the boat comes with, first aid kit. It has all the lifeguard approved fire extinguishers, whistles, spare paddle. It's all hidden up underneath.
Electronics? Is that electronics too?
Lowrance. Yep. Electronics is on it.
So one of the toughest things for us is Butch uses very specific electronics and trolling motor. So we had to find an HDS 10, the exact same one that he uses. The trolling motor is the Motor Guide 767.
Yeah, the Motor Guide Tour.
Can you explain, because people, it's another thing is like why choose that trolling motor and that fish finder?
Well, the fish finder is just is a wider screen, and it's just something that I know exactly what's down there. I've learned it. I understand it. I don't need to go to these other levels and everything. I know all I need to do is know how deep it is, but I can find my fish on it, and I know how everything is about it. So that's why I chose that one. As far as the Motor Guide Tour, well, it was probably one of the most popular motors to ever be on a bass boat, and it was on there for years. And then they came out with the Spot Lock. Okay, well, the Spot Lock is very heavy, so to put it on the aluminum boat it's a heavy motor, and it's very expensive. And the tours have disappeared, but you can have somebody rebuild it brand new, like at the Trolling Motor Doctor or something, and then you're dialed in. They have one there for me right now to pick up, because I have a couple spares, because I'm afraid eventually I won't be able to get one if I need one for my boat. But the Tour was super quiet. The stock prop is perfect. The three bladed prop. And it was just super quiet, and I already know when I'm going down the bank where my foot is, and I know what direction I'm going. I don't need, the anything else. I've tried the remote control kind, and they didn't last more than a day, and I just give them to some kid in an aluminum boat somewhere. But the Spot Lock ones, they make noise. They make a whiny noise when they turn, and you got to look down at them to know where you're going. Okay, that takes you off of something that might be happening over here. And I get it maybe on a big boat, and it is on the two boats, the Champion and the Ranger, because you can be on a point in the wind and spot lock that thing and then throw off that point and stay on the spot or whatever. But as far as the aluminum boat's concerned, the Motor Guide Tour is super stealth, super quiet. And, I stick with the stock prop because I've tried the Kippawa, I've tried some of the other props, and I had bad luck. I thought that they were putting out some kind of a vibe.
What was the one you just mentioned right now, the Kippawa?
The Kippawa. It was supposed to chop up the weeds and give you a little more speed.
Is it the circle looking like a cylinder?
No, that's something else they put on there.
Okay.
It's still around, I think. But to me, it spooked my fish, my swim bait fish. Every time I touched that thing, I think it threw out some kind of a vibe or something. And like 3 months, I was struggling. And then I took that fancy prop off, and I put the old prop back on, and I was game on and threw the other one away. That was it. Done deal.
See, the little changes like that are a very big deal. And
it could be luck. It could be timing, that maybe this is how, you would have got bit if you'd have kept it on, but I don't have time for that. Once I start thinking of something that's not working, like a line, or something like that, you got to get rid of it. Otherwise, you just dwell on it.
When's the last time you changed something like that with your fishing?
I haven't in a long time.
Really?
No.
Wow.
Not since I built this boat in 05.
Wow.
Was it 05? Yeah, it was 05.
So same line, same reels, same everything.
Well, the only thing I've changed now, because I like the Calcutta 400B. Okay, that just is a machine to me. It doesn't break. But then I got introduced to the what's that other one?
Tranks.
The Trank, the 400, and I like the Trank. Okay, in freshwater, not saltwater, but in freshwater. But I will only fish that reel mainly during the winter months.
Why so?
Or actually during the summer months.
Fast.
Because it's faster. It might say it's 5-1 and this one's 5-1, but my Calcutta is much slower and I don't overwork the bait and that kind of thing. So that's why I can't use it all the time. I'll still go to my 400s. But it's like you want these different sponsors or a sponsor for something like hooks or something, but then you realize that, well, maybe I like to fish a Daiwa in the saltwater, right. Or maybe I like to use a VMC hook on my thumper tail in my hood, but yet on my swim bait I like the Gamakatsu, and then maybe on something else when I fish giant tuna with a Super Mutu, then I have an owner. If I want to fish a skipjack, or I want a flying fish, I might want a Mustad 7691 or something.
Yeah.
So, everything goes according to what the bait is and what works the best. But
who introduced you to that reel?
Which one?
The Tranks, the 400?
Tackle Warehouse.
Oh, you just picked it up?
No, they gave it to me. They go, here, what do you think of these? And I go, how about that one? And I it's okay. I like it.
Yeah.
No problem. But
what baits are you throwing on with that?
I throw the 250
okay.
in the summertime with it because I want to get it up a little higher in the water column. That's about the only one thing I throw with it.
Yeah.
That's it. Other than that,
So that's been your only change over the years is that you've kind of done.
Yeah.
Because your line, you've said you've tried to change and just didn't work. You went back.
I've got rods that like I've pretty much phased out the Loomis 957. Yeah, that was what it was. And there's better rods and nicer rods out there now. A couple different brands. You know. Line I haven't changed. That's going to stay what it is. The Seagar Braze X, and that was getting hard to get. It was almost non-existent.
I remember you
for
talking
quite a
about
while.
it
Well,
for a while.
Then all of a sudden I got the word that it was out, and I'm sitting on probably at least 25,000 yard spools of 20. So I will not have that problem. And the same with the gummies, but then we finally got the gummies in because of all that COVID stuff. Things just weren't happening.
Yeah, shipping was bad.
Yeah, it was awful. When I couldn't find the Gamakatsu round bend 2/0.
Yeah.
I got back ordered from Do It Molds. I got back ordered from everybody else, and then I'd find this. I go to the back pages of Googling the bait, the hook. And then here, I go to those back pages that you never look at. And here I'd be back 10 pages, and here's this little tackle shop in some little place in Florida or Kentucky. And it says they have 5. And I'd be leery about it, but I'd order it. And sure enough, it'd come. I got all of them. And a hat.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I learned from Butch a long time ago is that if you find something that you like, buy a lot of it and just stockpile it because you don't know when they're going to change the formula or if that particular whatever it is gets discontinued. It's always nice to have a stockpile of those kind of things.
Especially with baits. I feel like any bait, they're going to change soon. Something's going to change a lot of the time.
Materials just change without the guys knowing. There's all kinds of things that go into it. And there's nothing worse than being on a good bite and not having that bait. You lose it, snap off, and you always have to make sure you have backups of everything.
The guys that make them say, well, now we're going to make it better and even better. And then what they ended up doing was just creating a piece of junk. It's happened and happened and happened.
Yeah.
That's why I have my archive of my molds and stuff, all for those reasons. But getting back to the boat, it's dialed in for night fishing because every compartment, and even in the main fishing areas, there's a switch there that turns on black lights. So every compartment is lit up. Even the live well is complete. When you turn it on and you open up the hatch, it's lit up.
Okay.
I like with my live wells on my boat is I always hated just to have the white bottom kind of a live well. So I go and I get the Plasti Dip, and I pour a thing of it in there and I line the whole bottom up with blue. And I like that. And then even up the top where the screws are and the aluminum, I like that to be rubberized,
just in case.
Well, if the fish gets wild in there and stuff, he doesn't get all nicked up and beat up. And I think it calms them down a little bit, because, you stick them in there and sometimes they really make a ruckus, man. Those big bass make a thump, This live well has a drain on it that drains all the way out to the back of the boat there's a really, it's a stainless steel twist plug for it, which in my boat I never had. I always had to take that bilge pump with a tube on it and drop it in there, hook it up to the batteries and pump it out. Well, this one has that.
That's nice.
I thought about that in the long run.
I can't remember. Is it 72 or 96 quart cooler?
I think it's 70 something. It's big.
It's really big.
Yeah. It's like almost the size of this table.
Yeah, it goes across the whole boat. And I think, in addition to what Butch has learned over the years, the conservation and taking care of the fish is really important to him, and that shows in this live well.
Yeah, it's got a flow control, inside the compartment on the side, so you can, instead of having 500 gallons an hour, you can tone it down to 200. And that's also at the front of the boat. It's got a timer for the live well, and on and off, however you want to work that.
Okay.
So it's all dialed in. The running lights are all put in, and they're stored up underneath the hatch, so they're out of everybody's way. Everything I can think of, I did. And when you build a boat, it's easy to say, well, I'm going to put a compartment here and I'm going to make it like this. And then you build it, and then you realize, well, you can't get any of your stuff in there now because you built it too small or whatever. So I've been through trial and error on all that kind of stuff. And it's like you say, stainless steel nuts. You can go down to Home Depot and drop $200 on nothing when it comes to that kind of stuff. The boat's painted Corvette jet black. It's an acrylic.
What kind of paint?
Two-part.
Is it? Two-part, really?
Two-part.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I painted that on the 4th of July weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Spent my days out there doing that.
How many Coronas went into that one?
A lot. a lot. I think I had Newcastle in the fridge then. But I got, I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to wait for the sun to come up to heat the aluminum up so I didn't spray over some cold aluminum. And actually, I took a couple of my heaters and stuck under there because I had to do it when my neighbors weren't up. Because you'll smell that stuff in the air. Yeah, I didn't want to have any problems. So right at 8 o'clock, everything was warm to the touch, man, and off I went, spraying away, and then hit it. Because I got people that are, walking their dogs, and these little old ladies, coming up my street, trying to be 30 again, but they're 80 and shit like that, And that's all I need is them to start saying, "What's that smell? What's this? What's that?" So out of sight, out of mind.
Heisenberg in the fucking garage.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. And but
wasn't
once
even
I
in the
got
garage,
that
it was in the
done,
front yard.
the whole beginning was getting the trailer done. That was the first part of the project. And I've got these double wide tires on the back. 10 ply. The rims are galvanized. They're not just painted. Every lug nut's been replaced. All that's been dialed in down there. And then I got to fit the boat on there and then get all the bunks lifted properly, for it to go on. And then once I got that done, then I got it painted. And then I let that cure for about 5 days. And then I got my neighbor to come over and help me put it on top. And then from that point on, it was the build on the inside, But this all took, I probably have at least 300 or more hours involved in this whole thing. I spent a whole month, I didn't go to work more than a couple of times because I'd be so pumped up that I wanted to get this thing done.
No,
that
I
I'd
hear
go out
ya.
there and we got the time-lapse camera and I get it set up and then off I'd go. And it's not like you just cut one piece and you fit it. You cut one piece and then you look at it and it doesn't quite, then you got to trim a little more here, and then you put it in and a little more here. Oh, I got carpet that's going to wrap around this, so I'm going to lose a quarter, because then you carpet it and then you go to put it in and it's not going to fit. You got to think about all these things ahead of time. The hinges for all the stuff are all aluminum hinges, so you don't have to worry about the rust and all that kind of stuff. But everything is like triple the work because it's all fabricated as you go. You just don't. You might say, yeah, well, I'll get a big piece of cardboard and put it on the deck, and I'll cut that out and everything. Well, it does, but it doesn't work that way.
The templates, I know I did that same thing, and it's close.
It's close,
but it's not.
But you still then you realize, well, I shaved too much over here. So now when I make my tracing, I got to make this over here a little bit bigger, and then you got to cut it with a scroll saw, and then aluminum. It's not that easy to cut. It builds up and it rattles, and you don't want to scratch what you're doing. But I didn't paint any of the upper rail of the boat. That was like the grand finale because that was done with a flat. The boat is a gloss, but the top is a flat
cap right there.
Rhino or bed truck paint on there.
Great call.
That's a good idea. It looks really good and it's pretty durable. And then going through and looking on Amazon on things like the cleats to tie it to the dock. Well, they have the regular standard kind, they have the loop kind, then they have these really bitchin' stainless ones that actually fold down, and when you pull them up, they have this little rubber grommet that makes them stay up so you can put your dock rope on it and then tie it up, all of that shit. And then actually I put the boat in the water, but it didn't have any weight in the back, so I just wanted to check it for leaks and stuff. Nothing.
We had to take it over to the neighbor's pool.
Yeah, we took it. We drug it over to the neighbor's pool and plopped it in his pool before it got painted. And
you're like Flex Hill. You're the guy on the fucking commercial.
Exactly.
It
works.
There was
if
one.
If you roll it, it works.
There was one little spot in the back, and that was it. Or no, it was in the front where the metal came together.
Yeah,
that was it.
One little bitty area.
Nice.
But that's all taken care of. I didn't get a drop in it. Then what happened? I don't know if I think I probably told Chris this, but I was at the lake and somebody saw me there launch, and they were from New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And they came over to shake my hand, and they were swim baiting and on their anniversary and Airbnb in Castaic.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, we're going to rent a boat up here at Castaic and go out and this and that, and pleasure to meet you and this and that. And then I said, well, I'll be back tomorrow because they wanted me to keep this bait to test it, to tune it and then send it back to him. His name was Tony. And so I met him the next day. I said I was going to be there, but they had already rented their boat. So I called him up in the afternoon and said, how'd you guys do? Well, I lost that bait, but I got another one. I'm not going to throw it so you can tune it for me. And I go, well, what was it? And he goes, it was the trout color one. I go, okay. So then I called them back, and they were done fishing and going to go do something for the day. And I said, I tell you what. I said, I need somebody to go out and fish in this boat a little bit. And being as you two are here, and you'll never get the opportunity to fish Lower Lake because you can't rent a boat. I go, why don't I drive up there and meet you at the dock? And I go, take the boat out and go fishing. I go, you guys get the Maiden voyage in this giveaway boat.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
He asked his wife, it's like 112 degrees, and she's like, hell yeah. So they jump in the boat and off they go. And I said, well, just give me a call when you want me to come and pick you up. And then I left, and it gave me a chance to do some maintenance on the trailer, some adjustments, because that was part of the deal too. So then they came back in, and they had a couple of hits and stuff, and I guess they caught a couple of small ones. And then, I told them, whatever you do when you pull up to the dock, just keep the boat away from the dock because I don't want to paint it again. And he's like, no problem. Sure enough, it was all good.
Good.
and took it home and did my thing, and then tuned his bait up, and then for their anniversary I made him another tuned trout and, and sent it
nice.
along with it, and they sent me a great card back and everything, and but maybe that might add a little bit of good juju to the boat.
Was that after you did the, what do you call it?
Smudge kit.
Smudge kit.
No, it hasn't been smudged yet.
So that's for the
new owner.
The new
gets to
owner has
smudge.
to smudge it. So now, fast forward a little bit, the boat's all dialed in. I got no registration on it because whoever wins it gets to put their CF numbers, and they could be in Florida, they could be in Kentucky. Those people, it's going to get shipped out to them, however it works. So I had to take my other boat that I have hanging in the rafters for my shore launching and put the CF numbers off of that boat on a piece of wood with some felt behind it, and then put that on the side when I'd go into the lake, and it had a yearly pass on it. So, I was able to go test it and stuff. And actually the the boat is certified for Castaic because the tag is going to be on there, whoever gets it.
Oh, wow.
But then after we get all of that done and it's all dialed in, we have this motor. Okay. We got a 15 horsepower motor for this boat. It's probably in the 90s. And it started right up. It was good. So then you probably heard the story. So then we got a hold of our local guy, Justin, to tune it up. And we're going to go get it and everything's going to be great. We're going to fire this thing up because it kept stalling every time I'd put it in gear. And then he gets it. He works on it a little bit. And then we get the phone call. One cylinder's not working right. And it's like, oh, fuck. Got fucked on the... So here we got a boat that probably costs almost $4,000 to get sent here, bought and sent here, right off the top. Okay? Without anything, no new trailers, no nothing. And now we have this motor. Okay? So now all we had to do was throw this aluminum boat in the back of the truck, give them $4,000 and have them deliver it. But no, it had to get towed out here, had to get a hitch weld on it, had to get all this other shit. So Chris goes down and he finds a 2022 Merc, 15 horse, brand spanking new. And Chris bought that and brought it down to me, and we put it on the boat and re-decaled it and everything. And fires right up, fits on the boat, balances it out really nice. And I took it to Castaic last week to see how it ran, to get it dialed in. And it's really, really fast.
I seen you going on the boat.
It's fast.
Fuck, this guy's
He sent me the video.
So there's no problem getting around with that boat, but the motor is super, super quiet. And so whoever technically gets this is getting a classic, is what they're getting. They're getting a vintage body boat that's been completely rebuilt like a classic car, but yet the car has a brand new Hemi motor in it. You know what I mean? It's dialed in.
You got the hot rod, the Butch hot rod boat.
And I'd keep this. I would love to. They asked me if I wanted this boat, and we'd build another one. And I said no. I said I'd love, if I had another boat, this is how I would have built it, and I would just love it. But it would kill me to scratch that boat. That's why I'm not. I all the way here this morning. It's sprinkling a little bit. First time it's polished, everything's ready to go. We come down here and it starts sprinkling, and I'm thinking to myself, why is that guy pulling up so close to me back there? Or God, I'm going to end up driving and I'm going to come with a boat and say, well, Chris, the boat's 6 feet shorter right now.
What about a couple months ago when the fire was going on in your neighborhood and the boat's sitting there in the garage, both of them?
Yeah.
They got the tractors out front. I was gone somewhere and I see it on Instagram and I'm like, oh, Butch, the fires are coming. And I know he's had issues to the point where he's got his own fire hose out there.
Yeah.
And so you see the bulldozers coming right in his front yard. And in my head, it was like, I hope he's got an evacuation plan for all this stuff.
We do. The boats get hooked up. And actually the firemen that came over that were working the big trucks and the pump truck out front, well, it was so hot that they asked if they can stay under because I had the garage door open and I was sitting in my chair watching the shit show going on,
Drinking your Newcastle.
drinking beer.
brown
And they go,
ales.
can we hang out under here? And I go, yeah, and then we're talking, and then the big guy who's running the D9 tractor, well, he looks over at my neighbor lady and he goes, do you know your neighbors? And I go, yeah, that's Christy. Oh man, I used to go to school with her. So then he's hollering over to her, and then she comes over, and then they start talking, and she goes, did you know Butch fishes a lot? And they go, yeah, we could sort of tell here a little bit. And then the fireman goes, are you Butch Brown? And I go, yeah. Well, you know my nephews. And I'm like, yeah, I know those guys, those kids. I saw them last year. I took one of them fishing and know them very well. And it just was like
Small world,
it was just everybody knew each other. But yeah, they were camped out, and they were checking out the boat for the raffle and everything. And it all goes to such a good cause. And for $20 you could have something that is, for me, it's something in my lifetime that you'll never get out of me ever again.
No.
I mean, and whoever gets the boat, also on the back boat of the boat where the transom is, I kept that piece of wood because that has all the aluminum stamps on it and everything like that. I kept that intact, even though it was rotted. I had to fabricate stuff and fix it, but I kept that because that's like the heartbeat of the whole boat right there.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a plaque made back there that's going to have whoever wins it, they're going to have their name on there, and it's going to have my name with a date on it put on there before they receive it. So, it's sort of special for whoever wins it.
You need to name the boat.
Man, I don't know.
That's what you need to do. That'd be cool, because then
Actually, if you think about it, the boat is technically called Swimbait 24/7.
There you go.
It is.
What's your boat's name?
It's just my black boat. It's what it's always been. That's what it's known for.
Mine's
up there is the black boat.
Piece of shit, motherfucking. After losing the fish, huh?
Well, that's how everybody describes it, because when they have new lifeguards that start, they see me going across the lake and they pull me over, and then you got to show them it's all electric power, or they get warned by the uppers that, hey, the black boat, that's Butch, and
it's electric. It's not fucking a motor.
If you ever go to the lagoon with Butch and you see it, like, everybody there knows him. He's like the mayor of the lagoon, and to the point where he helps certain people. Like one day we were there filming, and there's a couple ladies getting out with their kayaks or something, and they needed a hand, and Butch was the first person to go over there and help them and say, oh, hey Carol, or hey, whatever your name is, it's really good to see you. And he helped her with her kayak and got it up there. It's just it's a really neat little community there.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
definitely.
Everyone would, dude.
I
know Chris
Well,
might
you
not
got
have.
it.
He's
No,
like, it's nice to see someone help people. Chris
they
would
know
watch you
all the
struggle.
bad people.
Chris will watch you struggle. and
Yeah,
leave you
for
there.
sure. That's exactly what I'll do. But no, it's just nice to see, like, it's you see him in action. You see him, you hear him talk about these things on the podcast, but then you go there and it's like as simple as letting those people from out of state use the boat. Like, here you go. Here's the keys. Take it for the day. It's really neat.
But you've seen that, like, even the fucking toy drive.
Yeah.
Santa Claus came Butch. Butch came with like fucking 7 bikes. Shit.
Well, karma's a bitch, man. But you got to put in what you take out.
Exactly.
You can't be screwing people. You got to sleep at night. You got to, whether it comes back to me or not in catching fish, or what's happened in my life to how my life is going right now. Maybe it's because of that. I don't know. But it doesn't take long to roam your eyes a little bit and to see the little old lady struggling to get her groceries in her car that can barely move, and her, and then have to take 5 minutes to walk the car back to the basket holder and say, hey, let me take this for you, or just little things like that. It just you just try to do as much as you can. Firemen.
It's this new generation of kids like Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the fire department at the house. You say, well, there's a bathroom here in the garage. Help your guys, help yourself out. You guys want a lean cuisine? You hungry? You want this? There's water in that refrigerator, Gatorade, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Just don't touch the brown ale.
Yeah. No, they won't touch that. But you gotta you got to put in what you get out of it. You know, you take, it'll eventually bite you in the butt.
I agree. Now that you're, how about this? What's your goal? Your next fishing goal? Is it just keep fishing? You don't really have a goal? Or is there another fish you want to catch? Is there a certain amount of fish you want to catch?
I'm really not interested in the other fish as far as catching, you know. I mean, when you catch 350-pound tuna, you know, that's pretty cool, you know. I mean, they fight good. What I'm after right now, more than anything, is getting a modern day 10-pound bass out of Lake Casitas, because they're very few and far between. I don't even know if there's been one caught this year. I know they exist, and I like the lake, and I have a boat for that lake also. I don't care about catching the world record or anything like that. If I go and I'm thinking of the teener kind of fish, well, then I'm probably going to go over the grapevine and drop down into the, you know, the Bakersfield, and then up the line and go into that area up there. But where we're at right now, like the After Bay, right now, actually, we're working on getting the trout back in the After Bay. And we had a big meeting with some state people, some people that work for the fishery, and a couple anglers and friends of Castaic up there. And they told us that if we can build a net that goes across the upper part and then have a secondary net below, that we will probably get past and get trout back in the lake. And I just got an email of the drawing to do that, and it's going to be volunteer work, obviously, but the net will be paid for, I think, by Friends of Castaic, and then that way the net can be maintained. And then when we got up on the dam, we realized, and I remembered from years ago, there used to be a grade that went across there that was about a foot high that looked like jail bars that plugged into these round holes, because we can't drill into the dam, because that opens up another can of worms for the department, or for Department of Water and Power. And then they don't even want, you know, then you ruin the integrity, you do this, you're responsible, blah, blah, blah. It's not worth it. But we found that we can put these tubes in these existing tubes, you know, just a less ID, and run that one across. So that was a quick fix. And then the other one is down below, which is a 6-foot fence.
Okay.
And we're just going to pour in place some concrete with some, you know, some poles coming up, and then it's going to be attached. And if we get trout in that lake, if we got them in around Christmas, if it worked out that way, next year at this time, I know there's a few teeners in there, and there's plenty of 8 to 10 pounders. Well, that's going to change that really quickly once they get onto them. And I'll bet the next year we see some more fish that are into that 12 to teener bracket. And I think within another year after that, if we can get those trout stocks consistently, then we're going to get, you know, because some of those fish will grow very fast. I have a document of a fish that I had studied up there from Steve Palugi, and he said in the first 5 years of that fish's life, it had already reached 10 pounds.
Shit.
It was 16 pounds, 5 ounces in its 9th year.
So
I mean,
you figure if you can get a 12-pounder to eat right now,
they will eat
you
them.
think in 2 years you can get that to be a 16 or 17?
No, but I know we'll be up into the 13, 14-pound class. And
so you think
you never see the biggest fish in the lake. So there, you know, who knows? You know, if there's a 14 in there now, like I've seen them at Casitas, you know, and they're not. I've seen them. I've had them follow my bait in. I know they exist. At least 2 of them. And at the After Bay, I've gotten into the 13-pound range. And last year I had 24 over 10 out of there. Okay, but you know, it doesn't take you know, a whole lot. Once it gets consistent, then they're going to feed on them, and they're going to grow very, very fast. And now that, you know, if that does start up again, then they're going to reposition themselves down the lake. Well, being as I'm an old schooler, and there's no one around that used to do that with swim baits, well, when they stock and those stupid little trout go out and they go around these rocks and up these edges and the way the wind's blowing and the current and everything, well, I know where those ambush spots are. So those guys are going to have to watch pretty closely to figure out they're not going to be on the weed edges. They're not going to be over off the stuff. They're going to be out off these edges in 20, 25 feet of water, 15 feet where it comes up. All of these good sweet spots where I used to get them.
You think you think it might come back if this goes
I know
right?
it would.
Your fishery's going to be back to what it was. Will you be able to grab that fish you want again?
I don't know if I can live long enough for that.
Yeah.
It's I would have to be probably 70 for that fish to maybe exist in there. But the problem that we have now is we have internet, we have population, we have more swim baiters, which that doesn't mean that they're going to be the ones to catch the fish,
but it shoots pressure out.
Yeah, and it's going to be more pressured. See, before it was just me, the lifeguards, and whoever was on the lake could take my picture, and that's how it rolled. Like I said, I didn't come out of the closet for 20 years.
Yeah.
To say.
Let's use another term.
Well, you know what I mean. But it's like, when like we were talking earlier about why am I saying anything now or in why am I here? It's because I have certain people that I fished with over the years that listen to what I had to say, and I finally can realize that what I said wasn't in vain, and now they're top tier fishermen. You know what I mean? And highly respected, but they haven't changed what they learned out there. So that means that I was sort of on the right track to be able to speak. And if I can mentor or help a couple of other guys in the right direction on, taking some different steps and bypassing, the other stuff, then and getting them to where their goal is quicker, then, their legacy might be incredible. After I'm retired at it or whatever, that who knows what level they're going to go, but they learn it quicker. I had to learn it through
a different learning process because you had to put all the pieces together.
Absolutely.
How much longer do you think you got really fishing hard?
Till the day before I die. I'm no pussy. Put it this way, I went on that tuna trip last week. I broke 100-pound Power Pro on a tuna, and I broke 150 on a tuna. I pull hard. I work every day. I do something, and a technique is everything. But no, I get out there and I know what I want to fish and how I want to fish it, and I could sort of read the signs in how the moon is or whatever. And try to hone it in so that most of my time out there is fairly positive, So, but I got plenty of time.
I think it'll be really cool to see you catch something from Casitas.
That's what
just because I feel like it's anyone that did that, you'd be like, hey, I could do it on another fucking lake.
It's a modern day 10.
Yeah.
Out of a lake that has just been shot down to nothing, and those guys don't throw swim baits up there. They're all on their live scopes off points going around in circles.
Fucking Fred Clinshaw, you piece of shit.
Yeah, Fred. Well, he tells me about his days and stuff, and I'm like, I didn't get a frickin' bite. He goes, oh, they're down and suspended off of 50 feet of water. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm going out with your son tomorrow. But they're tournament guys more or less up there. And they're all wormers. They go with the flow, they buzz bait, at certain times of year, do a little bit of frogging and stuff. But I go out there and I'll tell you what, probably 3 out of 5 trips, I don't catch shit. But then there's those times when they do pop up and they start getting active on me and then I actually see what's in there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. I just can't figure it out. What if I could have my black boat on that lake, then I probably could figure it out. But I'm fishing out of a, 18.5-foot champion, and it's got that, the spot lock motor guide on the front. So it's not
live scope too?
No live scope. That's on the Ranger. But it's like.
Have you used live scope on a bigger lake?
I don't even know how to turn this shit on, dude. My buddy, his boat's in my garage. It's the Ranger. It's Eddie's.
Okay.
He's going, well, you got to plug this battery in down here and this and that. And I'm like, what am I looking at? I'm like, no. I you know what? If you depend on that, then I think in the long run, you're sort of screwing yourself because you're not learning about the fish. You're learning about trying to find a fish, but you're not learning about what other habitats they have. If you can't get them on that, then you're sort of screwed for the day. But the little guy over there throwing the frog just kicked your ass. You know what I mean?
No, I talked about it with Matty Wong a little bit, just because he does the elite.
Yeah.
And he's like, some guys just, you live
They're
by
addicted.
it or die by it,
They're addicted to it. But
Yeah.
I'm too late in the game to be addicted to that kind of stuff. What I used to be addicted to when I was out there was my X15 paper graph.
I've heard this multiple times.
I
from
still
people,
have it.
yeah.
That's the baddest sonar I ever had because I would leave it run all day. I'd change paper, stylus, whatever, but I'd let it run all day. And when I'd see that stuff on that paper, dude, when I'd get home, I'd pull my paper back and I'd cut that and I'd cut that and I'd go, look at it. Then I could come over here and go, look at that. You could actually see your swim bait coming and you can actually see see the fish down there,
The original
and
live
you'd
scope.
hook up. Like I told you that time when Marty Wall, the game warden, was holding on to my boat because I was making all that commotion out there and wanted to know what was in my live well, and I told him I was just kicking the shit out of the bass. And he said, "Well, I'm gonna hang on for a minute and see if you catch one." I go, "Hang on." I go, "Look right there, going across my screen, threw it right out because they were going right off this outside edge. I throw that. It was an Osprey from the Optimum when Sean Donovan first came out with it. I rolled it right up there, man. Boofed out a 14.5 right in front of him. Put it in the boat. Threw a 9-pounder out of the live well, and he took my picture holding every one of those fish. Him and the lifeguard tied to my boat. And there probably wasn't a fish in there under 10 pounds, and a couple over 14. That was the float tube thing. The next day when I told you that story, that was that spot.
When you're talking about these things, Butch, at the time, did you think that it would last forever, or did you think that it was a moment in time that you may never have the ability to replicate?
At the beginning, I always wondered when I'd catch that next 10-pounder, and then it would happen again. And then I'd wonder, how long is it going to be before I catch the next one? And then it would happen again. And then once the swim baits came out, and it got way more consistent, Other than that, I had 24 over 10 up to 15 on a Shad Rap number 9 when they first came out. I had a bite going on there. That was in 1 month. I had those fish. But it almost got to be where it was like... there was a point in my life for about maybe 10 years where I knew when I left my house, I was going to go do a job. And I was going to go catch a 10-pounder on video. And once I got him in the boat, I was going to go home and have a beer and relax. Because I had the first videos with Kenny Huddleston, okay? And then after I had like 5 fish, they go, "Hey, Butch, you thinking about doing a video?" And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe, And then what happened was then there'd be the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th fish on video, big one. And then it got to be one of those things where you shut that part down and you just start stockpiling all these videos, because then you say to yourself, well, gosh, I watched this one guy parlay his whole career into one catch or this or that, And it's like, I have all these catches and I'll just roll with it. Because then Kenny was telling me, he says, well, Butch, he goes, videos, isn't really in there. You could go to YouTube and $1 a view, or you could do this or this. And then I just got confused and just kept rolling with it. But it literally for 10 years there, between the transition of the HUD into the 250, well, it was ridiculous for me,
Have you had anyone start working on the video?
No, Chris has offered to help me with stuff, but he doesn't push me on it. He gets me.
I get him right there.
He gets me right there, and he goes, "What's your YouTube thing?" It's this. Well, that's not working. That's not. Okay, so we'll redo the sign-in thing, or what was it? The password. They'll send you something. And then they sent me something. Then I tried to log in, and I couldn't log it in, and then we never talked about it after.
The problem is he's so far for me. Like, a lot of these things are much easier when I'm close, and like when it comes to the YouTube, we were just trying to get him logged back in, and it wouldn't fire a password resend right away. It was taking a day or something, and it was strange. So we're close on that, but like the biggest thing for him is just getting everything digitized. And I think
that's what would be cool, to get it all digitized.
Well, we went through that too. He turned me on to a couple things. I go, I got that one. And then he found these other guys, and right now I have that Elgato digitizer. But when you digitize it, doesn't mean it comes out like it is.
Yes.
Then after that, you have to clean it up somehow.
So
and it takes a while to do that.
And I think I found somebody that's close to him that will do it. We are just really focused on getting this boat finished. So like all of those little things were kind of pushed to the side. But it sounded like when I spoke to the gentleman, they work with a lot of the studios, and that's what they do. So like they just need to take some tapes and do it. But I can only imagine what's in those things.
You need to have like a documentary, like a.
Well, he already gave me the DRT book. Have you seen that?
Yes.
And he talked to me about this. How about something like this? We can do photos and everything like that, and
it'd be cool to get all the old school guys that are still around.
Not many,
but if you could find them, just to get them to take a picture, a quick little interview in the book, and that'd be really cool. But I think a fucking like an actual film.
Yeah.
Not many people
I have the
would
content.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no question about it. Like I told him, I go, well, I can go on YouTube and put a new 10-pounder on there every day for a whole year. Not a problem. Not a problem.
But it just takes away from the fishing and all the other things.
It does. The
other thing too is it takes away from the mystique of himself. Still, I wanted. If you give out too much, it's still not. Butch Brown. Oh man,
Well, it's not. But it's. See, I when I go home, I don't want to. At the beginning, when Facebook was there and that stuff, it was like I had to look at it every night and stuff like that. And then it got to be where. I'd answer as many questions as I could on the messages, and then after that, I realized I don't have no freaking fishing time, man. I'm too busy on this, and I can't eat dinner, and it. What days you get off, you just want to go fish, because for me on a computer, it's not like you guys where you just go like like this and you're all done. For me, it's like. Well, why didn't that work? It worked last week, then I got to call my son. Hey, how come my password's not? Why is Cartwell charging me every month and sending my wife 90 pee-pee pads for the frickin' dogs when I ordered one time? Well, it's because when you signed up, Dad, you ordered for reoccurring, and I'm like, son of a bitch, man. We're sitting on stacks of pee-pee pads.
Now, if you guys want your custom Butch pee-pee pad,
you got it.
You just hit them up on the website,
dude. And I figured that one out, but it's things like that. I need guys like Chris to help me out, with this kind of stuff. At the beginning, it wasn't so bad to put a video on and then let it roll and then shut it off, because it just gets those, like when I put the video on during the holidays of 100+ bass over 10 pounds in 45 minutes, because that's all they allow you on there, and it takes time for it to load. Then I let it run for an hour or 2 or 3 hours, and then I get rid of it. And those guys they get a hold of me all the time. Oh, I didn't get to see it all. It stopped. There's something wrong. No.
In addition to everything that he does, like that's part of the reason I want to help him put these videos out is I haven't seen, like I've seen a small handful of them. I want to see these things. Like there's so many cool things that I know he has on tape that would be.
Why don't you guys do a swim bait underground video? You got fucking footage too, bitch. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm never putting that out. No one's going to see that.
I learned from Butch in the old days. Like I'm not the water. And so the reason I asked that question earlier about the time at the lake is like we've seen it. You guys have talked about it a lot, is like cycles. Well, I was in a cycle where things were biting really well, and I was at a point in my life where fishing wasn't the only thing. I was younger. I would fish maybe once, twice a month if I could. I was living up in Redondo Beach and like getting down as often as I could, but I don't feel like I capitalized on that time the way I should have. And I look back at it and I kick myself. I was out partying and doing other stuff. Sure, I still got some fish, but like if it was now, I would be so stoked. And like that's one of the things that.
But do you think you knew what you knew now? You wouldn't be able to apply the same thing.
Of course not. But it just being there with trout in the water and full water levels. Like these are things that we just dream of now. And like for me, when I talk to guys that are not in California that might be in those up cycles, like take advantage of everything that you can while you have it, and don't take it for granted, because you don't know, you know, it could be tomorrow that they say no more stocking, your lake level goes down, like whatever it is. Like if you're in the moment, take full advantage of it, document everything, and truly enjoy it, because it goes quickly.
Yeah,
it does. Don't take it for granted, because look what the kids that are growing up nowadays can't even go and do what we did, you know, but yet they got the passion to go throw swim baits and want to catch those fish. But, you know, they've taken the San Diego lakes and took trout off the thing, that, you know, all because of a dry riverbed, you know. It just doesn't make sense. It's just like, you know, we don't have anybody out there to fight for us when it comes to this kind of stuff.
no, you're right.
It doesn't, you know, it costs money, and it's just the way it is, you know. And eventually maybe there's a younger kid that's going to come along and change that. But, you know, like when my bite was really going, I had people working for me and stuff. Well, I had a few years where I fished 200, 300 days a year.
You're like, hey, go do this, guys. I'm fucking fishing.
Yeah,
whatever.
I was out there. I was on it, man. You know, I mean, I was on it.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and when up until I saw the demise of the fishery, well, I was there, you know, 4 or 5 days a week, you know, whether it be after work or whatever, or all day, you know, you just never knew. But now it's like, you know, I'll do my thing, and if I see signs of it picking up or something, I'm there. But what they did where I'm at is they closed the lake November to February, and they only open it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, that was my time to take work off and fish the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and stay away from the weekend people. But I can't do that now, because last year they changed that. And it's the first time the lake's ever been closed at any time since I've fished there. So, you know,
Since it's been open.
yeah. But yet they still charge you full for a yearly pass, but yet you
Yeah.
can't fish there, and they don't disclose it, you know. But it sort of pisses me off, but that's when my big fish roll, you know. Usually December to February is when I get my biggest ones.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time in my life when they were in August, you know, and that was when I got onto a spot that, you know, Robert might have told you we'd pull up on it, and that limit was caught there. That limit was caught with 3 others in probably 20 minutes.
You guys seen the picture behind that
We were
right there?
we
You
were
can see
calling.
The best is when he talks about the spots at the lagoon. He's like, "Oh, there's a picnic bench here, and there's this here, and there's that." Like, he just knows every.
Did you drop
single
all
spot.
that in there?
Some of it.
Totally.
Well, you get a family, you know, they want to come and they're up in the park, and they drag one of those big, heavy picnic benches down, you know,
Yeah.
to the edge of the water so they can eat. And then I look at that, and I see it there for a couple months, and I say, yep, the first morning I come here and it's foggy, usually in July, I said the first thing I'm going to do is come down the lake. I'm going to hook that thing up and yank it out and tow it out where I want to go and drop it. And that's, you know, that's what I did. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Now, how many fish have you caught off that?
It just, they got fish on them right away.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did you catch fish off of it after you marked it? And
I dropped an aqua view down on it an hour later, and there was already one sitting on it. You know, but you know, there was stuff that other people throw off the shore, like here's guys throwing Christmas trees, weighted down Christmas trees off the shore, and they're right there with the tip sticking out of water 5 feet from shore. Well, what a numbnut, man! I just go over there. And
Yeah.
I just go over to their Christmas tree and toss it out, hook it on, and then drag it out where I want it on an edge and drop it off. And the other one he put in, and the other one they put in, and then when they come back, they're gone.
they're like, what the fuck happened to these trees? Butch
know.
came and relocated.
But yeah,
Relocated.
you know. But I find I have a boat that's been sunk down there for about 30 years.
Wow.
And it was sunk. We figure it was sunk by the movie industry. And I found it 30 years ago, and I dropped an aqua view down and got to see what it was. And then I told the lake about it, and they said they don't know of any boat that's down there. And it's got a 60 horse on it, and it's on a break in like the 25 to 30 feet of water. And
people are probably like this.
I don't stay on that spot more than a few minutes. If anybody's around me, I don't fish those spots. I might go past them just to look, but I pay no interest in them, and I don't want to attract people. And one thing is if you sit on it and then somebody starts to come towards you because they want to sort of get an eye on it, if you take off too quickly, you leave a little bit of a bubble trail out. So it's pretty easy for them to figure out where you were. So the best thing is to just go low, just sort of let yourself drift in a little bit, and then you go meander around. That way they've got no freaking clue, And that's another thing about the giveaway boat. In the front, I have my buoy markers that I use, and they're very small. They're only this big. They're made for crappie. They're black. Okay, and there's 3 of them, and they're all locked in a clamp. And then that way, when you get on fish and you say you want to sort of mark your spot a little bit, you just pop one of those little guys in and throw it in, and you're pretty much the only one that's ever going to see it. It's not fluorescent.
Use those?
Doesn't attract attention.
I never knew about the black ones because he always talked about marker buoys in the old days, and we used to have a orange one on the boat, but I don't have the stealth ones. No.
But you never used them then?
I have not the little ones. I have a traditional marker buoy. Yeah,
my uncles, we've used them. It's pretty cool.
That's why I used to know where he always fished, because I could see the orange marker out there.
He went and catched all his fish.
Yeah, but
he's like, you're casting in the wrong place. It's actually 7 feet over there on the drop.
This giveaway boat is so dialed in that it comes with the net placed in the same spot as mine with a Promar net. And that's got clamps that it fits in. It has, like I said, it has the markers in the front. It's completely done just like my boat.
A couple things, recent upgrades to your boat that really went into this one, the addition of lithium batteries. So you can talk a little bit about the reduction of weight on your old boat and what it's done.
That changed everything. It's like getting Rob Flotta out of the back seat. I got 350 pounds out of the back seat of my freaking boat.
How much does each battery weigh? Old battery weighs what, 60 pounds?
Oh, they felt heavier than that. I buy the biggest ones, and I took those out, and you can't pick them up with one hand, but I used to have 3 of those in the back. There's 4 in the back to run the back motor, and then Rob Flotta would be back there too, so I'd have that much room of clearance. Don't move, Rob. Don't do something stupid. He figured it out. It took a few years, but he figured it out. But then I went to every year I had to replace them throughout my whole life. There's 2 more in the front. Okay, so I got to buy 6 at a time
because the 2 in the front are for your electronics,
for the front trolling motor.
Okay.
And then I run the electronics off of one single one in the back because I don't want any interference, because that motor's never running back there unless it's 48 volts.
Yeah.
But then I looked at the lithium batteries, man. And I figured, you know what, 11-year warranty, whatever it might be. I ordered them, got the 4, and I was like, wow, man, this is one hand, and they're the 50 amp.
They show up in a box and you think it's a joke. You're like, wait, there's 2 batteries in here, and you just pick it up, and
the UPS lady picked it up and brought it to me.
How much are these fuckers?
Well, we found this one company. Well, actually, they call it, are they redo-dos?
It was Zooms back in the day.
They were Zoom back in the day, but there's a guy on YouTube, if you punched it up, and he dissects these things. Okay, so he breaks them all down apart.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and then he goes, look, check this out. This is this battery for $200 or
$299.
$299 when I bought them, but then they went back up to $399. And
I just checked last night; they're at $299. I'm like, do I need some
time,
more?
Now's the time to buy them, and they're located right.
And you could use the NOCO charger for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Onboard. So
They're
that's
right
another
here
thing. We've got
in-
the onboard NOCO charger.
Wait, where's
for
it
too.
at? On Santa Fe?
La Habra or
I don't remember.
Whoever is selling them
There's
is,
one in
is
Santa
out
Fe
here.
Springs as well.
Yeah. Anyways, I got those. They only weigh 20-something pounds, and I put those in the boat. Got the NOCO, the 4-bank, put that on there, and then I launched the boat, and I'm like that much higher above where I used to be.
And speed's got to be a little quicker.
Dude, when you put lithium on, and you put it on your trolling motor, it's like on steroids all of a sudden. The power is different than the lead batteries. You just upped it a little bit, you know. So I noticed that right off the get-go. And then I'd go fish, put it on the charger, and 20 minutes later, they're all charged. I went 6 days, and then I finally said, I could only go a day before, but I go 6 days, and then I said, I got to just charge them. And that took maybe 2-3 hours to charge.
Shit, I gotta buy some.
You know,
for
just awesome. So then I bought them for the front.
Yeah.
And then now my boat really hauls ass. But we found this guy dissected these batteries, and I researched it a little bit. And he goes, look. He goes, these are the same parts that are in this $800 battery, this $1,200 battery. Look, even the skew is the same. You know. My
buddy Anthony, he's a fucking idiot. And I grew up with him. I think you might have met him before. Big, tall, oaf-looking guy. He doesn't trust anything. He researches everything. So he looked into lithium. He's like, these fuckers are just buying the cells and putting them in the batteries and covering them and calling it whatever company and selling them to you for that.
The actual casing, when I lined it up to one of the highest ones, the most known ones.
Dakota?
I'm not saying anything.
I'm just kidding.
But it's the same freaking casing, the same mold, the same everything. I compared it.
Yeah. And
then, with these things, I put the charger in the front, and then when I built this new boat, the battery charger, what is it, the Noco?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they make a on the deck plug that's waterproof.
Nice.
Well, I bought that to put on the raffle boat, and I was like, that's badass. So now my boat has 2 plugs. So all I do is I just plug in the little extension cord. That's it. I touch nothing, and off.
Dude,
I'm running.
So a 12 volts what?
It's the same size.
Same size.
Same size as 12
It's just
volt?
half weight.
Just half the weight. So the same size battery, just half the weight.
It's a quarter of the weight.
Wow.
But you could buy do they sell a 24?
Yeah.
That's in one brick?
But you got to look at it this way. If you bought, I was going to buy, they make a 48.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
But the problem is if I buy a 48 and something happens to the boat or something,
you need another
I'm stuck
48.
with that. And then what charger do I use for this?
Yeah.
So, and then I thought about 224s in the back. The weight is no different. 224s versus a 24, I think there's only a pound difference.
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, if I don't like these and I have the 12 volt, which is not a problem. Well, if I want to get rid of them, it's a lot easier to do
get rid of
something
12s
with them.
instead of a 48.
But if you have a 48 or a 24 or a 36,
Yeah.
then you're sort of stuck with it.
Yeah.
So I just went with the original.
Okay.
But
that's great to hear.
Shane's bought them, put
He
them on
told me
his
to get
boat.
the same ones.
I got them.
Yeah.
It's-
And some of the guys up at Tackle Warehouse.
Where do you guys get? Where
got
can you
it
get
too.
it from online?
Yeah, Amazon has them.
Amazon.
Just punch it up.
That's the best. When this project first started, Butch would just send me screenshots of his Amazon demands or requests for the boat.
He's like
and
the OnlyFans with the Amazon
yeah, exactly.
list.
He's like, here's my things.
I got
and he
tired of that.
Yeah, it just was too much. So then he just started buying it on his own and it'd just show up. It just like sometimes I would order the wrong thing or I wouldn't get the right quantities or whatever it was. And like one time I was somewhere and I didn't get the stuff ordered in time. So then he just started ordering it all on his own and it just shows up.
It just made it faster, and
Because I deal with this fucking joker over here.
Well, when you're in the groove, you want to stay in the groove. You know, you don't want to wait a week because you don't have this because you can't do those 20 other things. So that wasn't going to work.
No, I agree.
So but it worked out good. But the lithium batteries are in the front to keep the front down. The pedestals are all adjustable.
Nice.
There's one in the back that's a shorter one. I think it's more comfortable. There's 3 different pedestal plates.
Okay.
So that way, whoever is running the boat, or if they're going to use a trolling motor, they can put them in either position as they go, so they can steer and do their thing. There wasn't anything on this boat that wasn't thought about. Even the controls up in the front, I made that out of aluminum. Okay, and it's bent and polished and everything, but there's even a gauge that tells you how much, how your batteries are charged.
On your
it's on
trolling
all
motor.
the time. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Everything. So
2 fuel tanks. You get a 3 and a 6 or 3 and a 5.
3 and a 6.
3 and a 6.
Nice.
And that he's got it built out in the front hatch, so the weight's up there, and the fuel line's tucked underneath and ran. And
it's all off the deck. Everything's hidden. It's when you start thinking about what you got to do with these boats, you're limited, and you got to be as stealthy as you can. But that new motor is a 2022 15. And actually, you really don't need anything bigger than a 3-gallon tank because it gets such good fuel efficiency, and it's so fast and so clean. It's awesome.
Video of Butch taking off was so good.
I was like, "Fuck, he's going, dude!"
I was down to the end of the lake so fast it was ridiculous. I was just like, "This is like half speed of you get a Ranger on plane. You just got to go down. I'm right on your ass, man." So whoever gets it, and I fished it and threw swim baits with it, because I wanted to catch a fish out of it. But, I actually fished, points, and I went down edges and stuff to see how the boat would float. And it's perfect.
Nice.
It's dialed in.
Nice. Let's break down the giveaway, like how it's all going to work. Is there different packages or anything like that?
Yeah, so we partnered with Tilt Outdoors, like we said earlier, heard about them through your podcast, and essentially they're here in Orange County, and they work with underprivileged youth and get them out fishing. And everything that's being donated is specifically for their charity, and we've talked about it. They're going to take these kids and do things in the outdoors with them, fishing, hiking, camping. He asked if we only wanted fishing, and I was like, you know what, like if it's part of the program, like let's do your normal program, but it's specifically for them, all outdoors. And they're great guys. Like we heard about their story, and they've been really, really helpful when it comes to all of this. So what we're doing is we're running the raffle, I think, until November 7th. It's $20 a ticket, or you can get 6 tickets for $100. You're able to get them through shop.swimmingunderground.com, and you click on the link that says Win Butch's Boat. All of the money is directly donated to them. We're not in the middle of anything. It's to them right there. So all of the funds are going there. We didn't want to deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
my time is all donated. Everything I put in there, every stinking hour, everything. It's not about me or any of that. It's my pleasure to build something like this, and like I said, hopefully whoever wins it is a fisherman. And for a $20 ticket to possibly walk away with it, my wife wanted to buy a couple tickets. And I told her, that is not going to happen. No. If you want to give them away, you can. And then my daughter goes, well, I want it for Bryce, my grandson. And I'm like, thank God, like I told you, thank God your last name is Sanchez if you win. Because if it's brown, we're screwed.
What about gear? Is there going to be any gear on the boat, anything like that?
Yeah, so in addition to everything we talked about here, I think we covered it all. There's going to be additional prize packs. We're finalizing those. We've been working on them with other companies. We're looking to have another 5 or 6. So winner will obviously get boat, motor, trailer. And then we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think.
Okay.
We should be announcing those shortly, just finalizing all the details. It's we're working with some great companies on it, and guys are going to be excited about it for sure. I know, there's going to be some really, really, good stuff that you might not be able to get elsewhere.
There'll be a couple of hand-poured bluegills in the boat for whoever gets it. Maybe a crappie. Which you're not going to get that from anybody except me.
I don't even have one.
We're gonna dip our hands in there right now.
Yeah. No, we have it out front. It's so cool to see it out. And Butch is talking about his time, and if you've watched any of the videos that we've done, when we're recording those videos, you can really see the emotion in Butch, and you can see the gratitude that he has for what he's done, both boats. And the fact that this is going to such a great cause, I know it's huge for him. It's been really big for us. Like, we joke about all these things in the time, and we've been up. I think we've been up to see and help you with it 3 or 4 times now. Almost monthly, we've been up to do something, and it's great. We go, we work on the boat, we go have sushi, and then we end up fishing. Well, Butch goes to sleep, but we go fish the lagoon at night, and then he always calls us.
Whoa! What are you doing at night?
Fishing the lagoon on the legal side, sir.
Okay, just check.
Yeah, we're not taking the boats out.
He's not a cop. You don't have to say sir.
Yeah. Well, he's going to accuse me of some other stuff, I'm sure. Want to be as respectful as possible. So we go out and fish, and then first thing in the morning, Butch calls. Well, first thing for us because we stay out too late. Butch calls, "Hey, did you guys catch him?" And like we always, we could give him the update, but it's been a really, really neat process, and we're super thankful that he, took this project and started. I look at the boat now, and I can tell you what it would have been had we just built it in house. It would have been a totally different ball game.
Right.
But this is a truly one of a kind item. You're never going to see it again, and it's a piece of history, especially in the swim bait world. And my biggest hope is that whoever wins it knows what's gone into it, the amount of time, not just for Butch, but for us. And, you're having us here to talk about it. Like it's a really big thing. And the biggest takeaway, of course, is that we're just helping out a great cause.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And it's got a live well that'll hold a world record bass. So
That would be
that's
even
what
cooler
you're
if someone
looking
could
for.
catch a 10-pounder.
With disco lights and a soft bottom so that the fish is happy the entire time.
Yeah, party animal.
That's right.
Is there anything else you guys, can you plug the site, everything like that they can buy the tickets on?
Yeah, if you're on Instagram, you can go to our link in bio. There's a direct link. The link is also in Butch's profile. That'll take you direct to it, or shop.swimmitunderground.com. It's pretty sure it's on the top left, Win Butch's Boat. If you're on the forum, you're probably tired of seeing the pop-up to remind you to go buy your raffle tickets. We've got a couple weeks left. It looks like the raffle's going to close November 7th. We're going to do a live drawing, and we don't know when that's going to be yet. We're trying to figure out some things. There's some talk of maybe having the boat at the toy drive, but
That'd be cool.
We'll see. It just depends on how this all plays out. We really want to make sure everything's handled properly, and again, like whoever wins this, it's unbelievable.
Also, I guess I'll announce the special guest I put on the flyer is Butch, but the way we're going to do it this year for the toy drive is I'm going to have Rob, Shane, and Stefan up, which are 3 guys he's kind of mentored over the years, and they're going to kind of talk about some old stories that probably they'll be able to get out of them or they'll remember, because they have a lot of funny ass shit, and it'll be cool. And then I'll see you guys, if you guys go to our NorCal, we'll see you at Uncle Bing Bong's at Caesars.
Bummed I can't make it for that one.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully it's going to be cool this year for the toy drive. I appreciate both these guys. Thank you guys for coming on and all the support as well. And please go buy a ticket. We'll be pumping this up on intros of the podcast in the next couple months. Make sure everyone buys a ticket because it's for a really good cause. And these guys put a lot of time into it, so please check that out. Thanks again, guys, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.